Many of my students have asked me to do this episode. They are all eagerly waiting for this episode. Why? Because today we're going to discuss the tips and tricks to understand your voice. Understand the meanings that the voice sounds make. When you have a physical reaction to someone's voice, you instantly make meaning from your reaction. For example, if people have robust voices, you tend to consider them confident. If they have deep voices, you're more disposed to take them seriously. I don't know why people do that. If they speak quite fast and energetically, you consider them quick-witted. All the RJs and all. If adults speak with a very high pitch, you will likely to consider them silly or naive. If they speak driving the voice hard into the nose, hi, you think of them as insensitive or bullish. If you hear hesitation in the sound, you assume you're speaking to an unconfident person. Don't make any judgments or opinions, my friends, my students, please. People interpret voices in a myriad of different ways, and most of this happens in an instant without you giving it conscious awareness. Your voice is amazing because of what you can do with it in terms of sound, not only just because of the words you choose. Take some time to familiarize yourself with the ways that people typically react to different vocal qualities and develop your ability to use your voice effectively. Don't think about belittling people. Always try to understand. Now, from this word of understanding, let's talk about understanding some of the tips and tricks which can help you to understand the meaning of understanding your voice. No pun intended. A man calls for a taxi. I want to go to the station, he says. Fine, replies the taxi driver. I'll pick you up. Where are you now? Or I don't know. But I want to go to the station. Every journey goes from here to there, and you can't start unless you know from where you're coming from. So where are you now vocally? What's your voice? What is your current state? You may think that the answer is obvious. It's not, because being sure exactly how your own voice sounds is difficult. You have a certain perception. It might be completely off track, or on track, or not even on the track. Who knows? Someone knows. That person is known as the voice coach. That's why I'm here. You are literally too physically close to the actual sound you produce. Your hearing is influenced by your fears and expectations. Many people hate their voices, but they can't really explain why. Understanding the why is extremely important. They say, I have a feeling. It's the way people ignore me. People look at me oddly when I open my mouth. One of my students, he said that I was having a conversation with my cousins. When I started speaking, no one gave a damn. I need power in my voice. Before you can get the power in your voice, understand the why. Why did they not listen to you? Is it because of your feeble voice? Is it because the words that you were using? What is that why? People look at me oddly when I open my mouth. Some jump to conclusions because of their views about accent or class. Some have no idea at all what they sound like. Others, the majority probably, they latch onto one specific aspect that they dislike. They think that their voices are too high, too quiet, too dull. Most people assume a person has a particular voice. The truth is that most people have more than one voice. You change it as per circumstances, who you're speaking to, your perception of status, how you're feeling, physically, emotionally at a given moment. Subject of your voice is a complex one. So what clues can you gather about how you really sound? Always try to gain new familiarity with your voice. Before you can start understanding your voice, start hearing your voice. This is the first step. What do you sound like? I can hear someone protest. I don't even want to know what I sound like. I just know my voice is awful. If you already have a presupposition and you're priming your brain to think that you have a crap voice, how will you improve it? Don't worry. Most people don't rate their voices, and they fear to discover that the reality is worse than they thought. I will help you in this episode to make you aware about certain tips and tricks that you can start to understand your voice. But the first thing is have an intention and a desire and a free will and a confidence that you can understand. First thing is listen to a recording. If you have ever played back your personal answer message on your phone or mobile, you know that listening to yourself in a recording can be a weird sensation. Your voice sounds sort of familiar, only it's not. It probably sounds higher than you're expecting, has an unattractive, tinny quality, and comes across as mechanical or at least not very human. The technology that's recording and replaying your voice is creating all the three effects. You do indeed sound higher, more tinny, more machine-like, but much of that is the fault of the recording machine. To gain genuine feedback from listening to the recording of yourself, you need to grit your teeth and you need to ignore your first impression. Listen carefully for those characteristics that don't depend so much on the quality of the recording. Ask yourself, am I unclear? Am I rushing? Is my voice all on the same volume and pitch level? Do I suddenly boom out loudly on isolated words? Do I stop and start hesitantly? If your responses to these questions get you feeling anxious or despairing, stay calm. This podcast will help you to deal with each of these preceding issues, and I'm here to give you that understanding and that support. Listen from the inside, the second major tip. The main shock of hearing a recording of yourself is that the experience is so different from listening inside when you speak. The bad news is that the sound you hear through your ears when you speak is scarcely more reliable than listening to a recording. Don't just focus on the recording. When you're speaking, listen. Even when you're speaking, can you do that? Do it. You don't hear the voice that other people speak. When you speak, the sound you hear bounces off the resonant surfaces of bones in your head. They seem much louder, more resonant inside your head than the sound that other people hear. In addition, you feel vibrations as the sound reverberates around inside your skull. No wonder your voice sounds richer and fuller inside you. However, you can get a better idea of what others hear you with some following techniques. Cup your hand behind your ear. Gently bend your ear forward. Hold your other hand round in front of your face, about a hand's width away from your mouth. Point the fingers of the hand in front of your mouth towards the hand cup behind your ear so that both the two hands are almost touching. So you are trying to cover your ears. Speak normally into the rounded hand in front of your face. Adjust the front hand until the sound seems to emanate from outside you. The voice you hear sounds quite similar to what other people hear when you speak. Almost certainly, the sound is higher, thinner than the voice you hear inside your head. Don't worry though, everyone has a similar experience. A major tip and a trick is to get feedback. You can ask a friend, a trusty colleague to give you feedback on your voice. Tell the other person that you're seeking a balanced opinion, not just a constructive criticism per se. A balanced opinion has both positives and the negatives. Explain that you want to hear a physical description of the characteristics of your voice, rather than an emotive personal opinion that describes the kind of person they think you are. Never give a feedback with regard to the personality. Always give the feedback with regard to the feeling and the behavior. When you ask other people for feedback, they may label you and describe your voice in emotive terms. You sound patronizing, you sound timid. Okay, that's good. What did you sound like? What did they hear? What was that thing that they could hear? If so, after recovering from this below the belt feedback, follow up with a question. Ask your friend what exactly he or she hears in the sound that gives the voice to their opinion. For example, is your sound hard-edged? Do you raise the tone at the end of the sentence? That's the kind of information that is going to be useful to you. However, if you're taking a feedback, be extremely aware whether the person who is giving you the feedback understands the segmental, the suprasegmental, and the basic features of the voice. Be open to the feedback. In one of my courses, there was this guy, Hari. I was leading. He didn't agree with the feedback from others that his voice was soft. He was so adamant that his voice was loud, he brought a decibel counter the second day to prove his point. We tested various voices. After he saw that his count was low on the dial, he admitted that he did speak rather quietly. Hari is a good example of someone who trusted the sounds in his head more than the feedback from the recordings or other people. It's a powerful thing to believe in yourself, but if you're wrong, you believe, you falter. He felt that he sounded loud. He put his trust in his inner feeling. He refused himself permission to speak louder, even though people were always asking him to speak up. Hari's experience sounds similar. We will go into the detail of the topic of volume in the upcoming episodes. Before that, in the upcoming episodes, I'll be talking a bit about the informal observations and the formal feedbacks, how to recognize your unique sounds. I'll give you more tips and tricks. Thank you so much for listening.